Disney classics, original programs, National Geographic, Marvel TV shows and movies, Star Wars. Now, these are just some of the choices you'll get on Disney Plus. And this is the podcast for Disney Plus fans. Join Scott Murray, Regina Davis, and Nathan Chick as they bring you breaking news, programming recaps, in-depth discussions, and insightful interviews that will take your Disney Plus fandom to new levels. Welcome to the Disney Plus Streamcast.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Disney Plus Streamcast. I'm Scott Murray, and I'm so glad you're back with us today. I'm also very happy that Regina Davis is back on the show today.
Not as glad as I am. I gotta be really honest with you. Not podcasting is a real bummer.
Were you going through withdrawals?
Yes, badly. Badly.
I've been there.
I miss our discourse and the fun things we talk about. This is sort of where I focus all of my, nerdiness. Mm-hmm. And so if I don't have an outlet, I start to go a little bit bonkers.
The other thing, too, is I have always viewed podcasts beyond just this area. In other words, I miss having the listeners here and talking with them, because I know that people listening are also very interested in this stuff, too. So I miss them, too, when I'm not podcasting. Well, it's hard to believe that we're almost at the end of June, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
And what that means, though, is that we are also a lot closer to San Diego Comic-Con and D23. And that means we could be learning a lot more about Disney Plus very soon.
I'm so hyped. I mean, those conventions are what alert me to the things I'm going to be excited about for the next year or so. And it's got all those, hefty major announcements that we all crave. So I can't even imagine what we're going to be talking about on this show once those conventions come and go.
It's definitely an exciting milestone, because it's and that's what I really see this as, because they gave us kind of a hint of what we're going to get. They released an initial listing of what's going to be available on day one, but we know there's a lot of stuff that they're not telling us, and there are details of things that we know about but just know very little about that we're obviously going to get. And the closer and closer we get to November, the more we're going to know, the more we're going to get to talk about.
Right? I mean, dude, I think they're going to drop bombs. I don't know what they're going to be, but I'm excited.
I think there's probably going to be some footage in there of something.
Ooh. Oh my God. Don't even say it.
Yeah, because we did get that. They did have that still they dropped the other day of, Tom Hiddleston as Loki in the 1970s walking around. So, yeah. It'll be really great. It's always also interesting to see how creative they get with what they unveil, whether, somebody shows up or they throw you a curveball, you think you're going to see this, and it's actually that, and everybody loses their mind. And, yeah, I look forward to all that stuff.
They know how to work a crowd, and I am so ready for it.
Well, one of the reasons Disney fans are excited about the streaming service is because they're also going to get access to the Disney Vault movies. And later on in the show, Teresa Delgado of the Disney Vault Talk podcast will join us to talk about those iconic films.
First, we don't have to wait until Comic-Con or D23 to get a news fix, because we have our own awesome resource for that. It's time for News with Nathan.
Why, hello, folks. I'm back. Some news nuggets for you. It's slim pickings out there at the moment ahead of D23 and San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But still, things are afoot. There are new releases in the movies, things that came out this weekend, things coming out shortly, and we're going to touch on those just a little bit.
Okay.
Yay.
Before I get too far into it, though, this is just an appeal to those folks who are upset with Tom Holland giving away spoilers on Graham Norton on Friday night. That movie's been out for, he gave away the ending. That movie's been out for 2 months now, and I have to say, Tom Holland, if you're listening, if you come on here, I can promise you we won't be upset about spoilers. You can tell us whatever you like. We're into it, man.
Yeah, it seems to me if 2 months have passed, I mean, you can't really get too upset, because apparently you weren't that invested in it to see it soon anyway. So, people who really wanted to be spoiler-free and cared about what happened have seen it by now. If you haven't seen it by now, it just strikes me as, I don't know how you can be more passionate about getting spoiled all that time later when you haven't been passionate enough to go see it in the last 2 months.
Totally agree. I think that's just indicative of people that like to stir up trouble.
Yeah.
Although, if you were going to see it in the next couple of days, perhaps it would behoove you to wait until the 28th, where indeed it does come back out at the cinema with some extra bits. Kevin Feige has said it's not an extended cut, but there is 7 minutes of extra footage they've added, including a deleted scene, a tribute, and some extra surprises for the fans. Now, some folks have said this is a great way to lead into Spider-Man Far From Home, which comes out on July 3rd, and others have said that just maybe, there's life in the old dog yet, and with $45 million to go before they become the highest grossing movie ever and knocking Avatar off the top spot, then that would be a very handy thing to have on a resume were you a person or a producer or indeed a studio looking to cement your place in the movie firmament.
At least until James Cameron comes out and says, okay, the sequels are coming, but to get you ready for the sequels, we're going to re-release Avatar.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, folks, for 7 minutes, when you've already seen it,
yeah,
are they going to get your money? Are you going to go back out?
Probably not.
Oh, God. I mean, I probably will, just because, having the theatrical experience of that movie is probably not something I'll pass up on very often. And having the additional 7 minutes is just going to be an added bonus.
If this were a different time, maybe. I mean, I did see it twice. And, it's already not what you would call the shortest film ever made. But, it is summer. There are some things coming out that I want to see. I mean, if it looked like, if it was just that time of year where I looked at the things coming out in the coming weeks and, because I still like going to the movies. There's always that talk about, the theaters are going to die out because people don't like to go. I don't know if that's true. I still like going. And I don't like it when there's a long period of time in between what I just saw and what I plan to see next. So since there's not really that happening right now, I'll probably be okay not seeing it again. But if it was during one of those times, I might go just to give myself a reason to go. But that's not the case.
See, I'm inclined to agree with you to a degree. I like movies. I just hate watching them with other people. The crunching of nachos, the purchasing of expensive beverages. It's not for me. It's not what I do. I'm thrifty and I'm a misanthrope. And I don't want to watch a movie with any of you, ever. But I would watch it on a big screen all to myself. But would I do it for an extra 7 minutes when I didn't have to worry about the kids running to the bathroom and taking them for a popcorn refill? Yeah, I probably would do that, actually.
It's worse than that. Sometimes the crunching can be a little annoying depending on what's around you. But the other thing that would also be distracting at times, this doesn't happen much anymore, but there were those times where someone bought, because I don't even think I see these anymore in the theaters, but they used to do this. But, someone would buy one of those gigantic pickles.
That's
and
so
you
wrong.
could smell that pickle until they were done with that thing.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, I get what you're talking about. Back home, I think the most predominant chip flavor, or crisps for my boys across the pond, salt and vinegar. You open up a packet of those and the smell everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, I like tangy, but I'm trying to watch somebody perhaps die, no spoilers. So, I just wouldn't like the distraction. But I get what you're saying there, absolutely. But before that gets my money, I suspect Toy Story 4 will, which opened this weekend. $180 million opening domestically. Apparently, some analysts are saying that it's below the prediction they had of $140 million. And so they expect Disney stock to drop a little bit in the coming weeks. Disney are very quick to point out, though, that overseas, it's still doing great guns and currently at $120 million overseas. And you never were going to get the same sort of opening as Incredibles 2 had, which opened to $182 million, but on Father's Day, which is a really big thing, apparently, in the movie business. Toy Story 4, 24 years in, guys. Who'd have thought it?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, in two weeks, that's what we're going to be talking about on this show. We're going to be talking about Toy Story 4, and then not only that, but the legacy of Toy Story. and how, like you said, how long that's been going and how long we've been with these characters. In a way, I'm not surprised that it's not pulling what they thought, because one narrative, and I get this, I totally get this. One of the things I've seen people say to most colleagues and friends who've already gotten a chance to see it or saw it way before even the release date, the thing I probably saw a lot in their early reactions was, I didn't think we needed this, but now that I've seen it, it absolutely fits and it's a great story and maybe we did need it. And then I've seen another person say something similar where it's like, I know a lot of you out there are wondering why we need a fourth one, but you have to go see it because it's worth it. So maybe one of the reasons why it's not pulling what they thought is that there are still people out there who perhaps are not seeing it yet because they still have that mindset of, really? Toy Story 4? What else are they going to do at this point?
Yeah, I think that there's still a lot of skeptical people out there because, the magic of the first Toy Story movie and then, incrementally forward has felt like such lightning in a bottle. I think people are worried, like, are we pushing our luck by making a fourth one? Like, I don't want to watch anything that's going to ruin it for me. But I really don't think that anything that they could do would just ruin the franchise for you. So I'm absolutely going to be going to see it, and I encourage everyone else to do the same.
Yeah, 3 ended so well. You kind of wrapped the whole thing up with a bow. But apparently 4, the reviews are in. They said it's fantastic, especially the star turn done by Keanu Reeves as Duke Kaboom.
Yeah.
Call him Johnny Utah, call him Johnny Mnemonic, Johnny Silverhand even. Regardless, he's breathtaking. And apparently in this movie too, he just completely elevates it to new heights.
I don't know. I'm really looking forward to Duck and Bunny and the Plush Rush.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, this year Hallmark is doing Christmas ornaments for Duck and Bunny, and
Nice.
More so than the others, my store has more pre-orders in for that than the other two, with the
Really?
Woody and indeed Forky. Yeah,
Of course.
Wow.
Forky.
yeah. But that's not to say that it's anything compared to, some of the other bits and pieces that are coming out, like the Captain Marvel blind box or indeed the Infinity Gauntlet that's coming. But that's by the by. While we're talking Keanu Reeves, probably my last big thing to talk about this week. During the press junket for Spider-Man Far From Home in the UK, Kevin Feige also revealed that he's been chatting to Keanu Reeves a lot about appearing in the MCU. And much as apparently they did with Jake Gyllenhaal, they've had lots of discussions and haven't found a character that's right for him quite yet, the way they found Mysterio for Jake Gyllenhaal. Lots of speculation as to who he would play and where they'd put him. A lot of folks are thinking that he would be in the Eternals to shore up the star power in that movie, although it already has Angelina Jolie and Richard Madden. I'm not sure how much more it needs.
Right.
But the best thing I think I saw recently about Keanu being in the MCU was Dan Slott, who's the writer of, if you don't read comics, Amazing Spider-Man, The Superior Spider-Man, oh my gosh, what a run, and Fantastic Four at the moment, who said that he would love to see him as Moon Knight. And,
Yes.
I feel like MCU needs a Batman, and Moon Knight is it, and I think he's just perfect for that.
I can't even think of someone more perfect. I think in my mind, there's, a handful of people he could play. One of the sort of more out there ones I've thought of would be, I would be interested to see him play, a really hefty character like Doctor Doom,
I wrote
something
that down.
like that.
Absolutely, the clean-cut, suit-wearing Doctor Doom from the infamous
Yes.
infamous Iron Man who wears the grey armor. Oh, he would be so
Yes.
good as that. Absolutely.
Every time I've mentioned that, people are like, no, that would be, him biting off more than he could chew. And that almost makes me want to slap him across the face because it's Keanu Reeves.
It's Keanu
But
Reeves.
I mean, Moon Knight would be a perfect fit because with stuff like John Wick, super, super chaotic fight scenes are something he's incredibly acclimated to. So as long as there's good writing, boom, it's perfect.
Absolutely. I think he'll be a great Punisher in a way. I mean, we've already got a great Punisher on one side of this sort of film movie spectrum, but I mean, John Wick does what John Wick does, all because his dog died. Can you imagine what he'd do if someone actually killed his family? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, the carnage! I would love it.
Ugh.
That's
I'd
me.
watch him as the Silver Surfer as well. I
Yeah,
just think
he's
he's
natural
got-
fit for a surfboard.
Yes. with, his face and his cadence. I think it would be awesome.
Indeed, indeed. And folks, that's about it. I say thank you so much for having me back on. I love being here.
Oh, we love having you here, and love
Yes,
always
so good.
not only love hearing the stories you bring, but also your additional insight to what's going on. So we appreciate you being here.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.
Up next, Teresa Delgado is here to talk about those beloved and iconic Disney Vault movies. The Disney Plus Dreamcast is on Twitter. You can follow us, get news, and participate in our Twitter polls at Disney Plus Cast. I am also on Twitter at Spockatiel, and Scott is Mr. Scott Murray.
Yes, in fact, since our last show, I actually did 2 more Twitter polls that had some very interesting results. The first one came right after Bill and Ted Day, and it was also right around the time, as we mentioned before, the image where they released the image of Loki walking around in front of a sign that said Jaws on the marquee of the movie theater, which kind of tipped where Loki was at that point in time. So this first Twitter poll that we have at Disney Plus Cast said, in honor of this year's Bill and Ted Day and the image of Loki in the 1970s, which historical figure would you like to see Loki meet in his travels? So it's a mismatch. It is a combination here of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and, well, Loki. So your options were, who would you like to have Loki cross paths with in his time travels? Your first option, Billy the Kid. Number 2, Socrates, or Socrates, however you decide to pronounce his name. Genghis Khan or Napoleon. Before we get to the results, who would you like to see Loki cross paths with?
I mean, for me, the 2 biggest ones would be Billy the Kid and Genghis Khan. I think Genghis Khan probably takes the lead on that one because I think Loki would just adore him.
Yes.
Just because he's so savage and ruthless and crazy that I think they would it's a match made in heaven.
It's tricky because I think there'd be something that Loki would like in all these guys. I could see him really liking Napoleon, too.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'd take any of these, yeah.
All right, so out of the group, who do you think came out first?
I think Billy the Kid came out first.
Okay.
And then I think it's Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Socrates.
So, the final results have, on top, with 34% of the vote, it's Socrates.
Oh.
Number 2 at 25% is Napoleon. Number 3 at 24% is Genghis Khan. And rounding them all out, at 17% is Billy the Kid.
I don't think I could have been more incorrect if I tried.
It's tough, though, because, you could make an argument for all of them.
I don't even want to do the next poll. I was so off.
That's okay, because I like it. I mean, it's a toss-up, I think. I mean, I think all those people would be interesting to cross paths with Loki. Okay, so the second poll, I really wanted to do this first and foremost because we haven't had a lot of opportunities yet to talk about the Muppets. And I love the Muppets. I grew up with them. Jim Henson's very important to me. But right now, with what they're doing with the Muppets and Disney Plus is kind of more on the speculation side. There's talk of a Josh Gad series where they, they go looking for someone. I don't remember who it was. Somebody's missing, and they go look for him. And then there's talk of some improvised skits, little shorts featuring the Muppets, which makes me think they might do some Muppet Show-style things on Disney Plus. But nothing is out there with full-blown details or full confirmation from what I know. But they have re-released the Muppet movie in theaters to celebrate its, I think, 40th anniversary. So what I did in the second poll was I said, which one of the first 3 Muppet movies, the ones that Jim Henson was involved in, is your favorite? The Muppet Movie, The Great Muppet Caper, and Muppets Take Manhattan.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite in that group? Have you seen all 3 of them?
I have not seen The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Okay.
But I think Muppet Caper is going to have to be my favorite. But I think that was probably just because I liked the original Muppet movie so much that I just sort of wanted more.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
And so I think it's just probably the freshest for me, but I mean, I don't think I would have had as much of a respect if a Muppet movie hadn't been such a masterpiece.
Well, definitely take time to see Manhattan. It's good too. If you like those two, you'll like Manhattan as well. Muppet Caper is still my favorite. Has been always. But
it's incredible.
Manhattan has some of my favorite scenes in it too. There is a fantastic, hilarious scene in the park between Piggy, Kermit, and Gregory Hines that is hilarious. There's also a really good cameo by Joan Rivers in it and Dabney Coleman. It's really, really funny. And
I'm already sold.
Since a lot of my work outside of podcasting has been in marketing, there's a moment where Kermit goes and visits a marketing agency, and they pitch him ideas for how they're going to brand their soap and find out which tagline that he likes the most, and the taglines are hilarious. It's just for a soap. It's just for soap.
But it's still gold.
Well, Muppet Caper actually tied the Muppet movie at 40% apiece, and then Muppets Take Manhattan did manage to get some votes. It's at 20%. So, to me, there's no wrong answer there.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have said Muppet Caper number 1, and then I would have had to say Muppet Movie number 2. Since I haven't seen Muppets Take Manhattan, I can't imagine it being better than a Muppet movie. So, yeah, it would be Muppets Take Manhattan would be last, simply because I don't know anything about it.
There are so many great lines in Muppet Caper. I also love a lot of the songs from Muppet Caper, like Happiness Hotel is one of my all-time favorite Muppet songs. I'm a huge fan of Charles Grodin, and he was great in it. In fact, when I did my first podcast, I had a chance to interview somebody from all 3 of those films.
Oh.
I interviewed Austin Pendleton, who played Max, Doc Hopper's assistant in the Muppet movie. He was also the stuttering attorney in My Cousin Vinny. My Cousin Vinny. That was the other,
Whoa.
yeah, the other role that Austin's known for. I didn't interview Charles Grodin about Muppet Caper, and then oh my gosh, I have to remember her name. I interviewed the lady that played Jenny, the waitress in Muppets Take Manhattan, and she was there for the whole scene in the park because she has actually part of that scene. One of the coolest things she told me in that interview, and this goes to show you how much we really have a loss by not having Jim Henson with us. Yeah. She was talking about how they were in the park and they were shooting the scene, and Kermit was there, and of course Jim was there, but he was only there for a little while because apparently he had some other place he had to be at a certain time. So they shoot all these scenes, and so the guys show up to pull Jim away so he can get to his next thing, and he's working his way out, and he still has Kermit on his hand, and these kids come up, and they are fixated on Kermit. And they're trying to pull Jim away, but instead of rushing off, he sits down on a bench and has Kermit talk to these kids despite the fact he had somewhere to be. And he said he sat there and talked to those kids, and those kids were just loving every second of getting to talk to Kermit, and Jim just indulged in it.
That's so magical.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So, yeah.
Jeez, Scott.
Sorry. I mean,
got me all hyped in the beginning just to slap me right down.
I didn't mean to do that. I just think that there are people, appearances with the Muppets have been so here and there, and I just think it's important for people to realize how great and wonderful the guy who invented all that stuff was.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we do have more things to talk about, and Regina's thankful for that.
Yeah. Moving on.
We are still learning about all of the great content that we're going to get on Disney+, but there is quite a bit we know already.
That includes access to those iconic Disney movies that would only get released for a limited time.
That was because they would unlock the Disney Vault, release something for a little while, and then throw it back in there again and lock it up again. And in my experience, that would drive fans crazy.
Well, I mean, yeah. If there's anything fans love, it's lack of access.
Yeah, right.
Come on. It's infuriating.
I know. I mean, people liked it better when, those movies didn't just hit DVD right away after their release or Blu-ray.
Yeah.
You had to find them in the VHS bin of Hollywood Video if you were lucky. Better times, right?
Warzone.
Teresa Delgado and Steve Glosson host a podcast called Disney Vault Talk, where they watch and review a lot of your favorite films, and they've definitely done the Disney Vault films as well. And she's joining us today to discuss those and the Disney Vault films that will be available to us when Disney Plus launches in November. Hi, Teresa. Welcome to the program.
Hi, I'm really excited to be here because I'm so excited about Disney Plus.
We are too.
I know, right? I'm super excited about this.
That's why we're doing Disney podcasts. They just gave us another big reason to do one when they announced Disney Plus. But I know that you've had a Disney-themed podcast as well, Disney Vault Talk, where you guys not only talk about the Vault movies, but you also talk about several of the other Disney movies that are out there. So that has to be that had to be a lot of fun, especially now that all the talk is ramping up again about the Vault movies, since we're going to get those on Disney Plus.
It is. It's really exciting. You know, and the Disney Vault Talk, which is the name of the show, it's still going on. We just, we don't record as often because, people get lives or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we're actually in the middle of the Pixar films right now, but it'll be interesting with Disney Plus coming out to see how that will sort of morph and change the podcast in and of itself. Hadn't really thought about it till now, so thanks for the anxiety that I had not previously had.
Oh, no.
Awesome.
All right, well, I guess the
stoked to get to
title of
talk
this
to you.
episode needs to have the word anxiety in it.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this conversation because I've always known about the existence of the Disney Vault. I'd never thought too much into it. And then once I looked into it, I realized that there were so many titles that I just hadn't even heard of. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this whole thing just being released in full.
What were some of the ones you hadn't heard of?
Like I had no idea there was sequels to Aladdin or Cinderella, things like that, like The Return of Jafar and Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Did not know that those even existed.
Probably okay that you didn't. Yeah. I mean, Return of the Jafar is okay. The third one, no. No one needs that ever. It's kind of sad.
So just hard pass on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of the Cinderella, you know what? That's just, they're those ones that can be on Disney Plus and like the kids can go and watch them, but it's not gonna be my thing. I think I've seen them once or something and not good.
And that was enough, apparently.
Yikes.
You can at least say you've seen it.
Yeah, and it's not that they're bad. They're not. It's just that they are exactly what they are. They're sequels that are more of a made-for-TV movie sequel than it is a theatrical sequel like, say, Frozen 2. Very different.
Yeah, I look at, some of the originals, some of the, the older films like, Snow White, obviously, 1937, Pinocchio, 1940, Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi. Trying to remember if I can think back and remember actually going to those films. I'm sure I saw probably all of them in theaters. I vaguely remember seeing Bambi. I remember seeing Pinocchio and getting traumatized at the end of that thing. So it'll be kind of interesting now that these are available. I mean, what do you all think you'll go back and watch from some of those really older classic titles?
1,000,000% Fantasia.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
I know a
yeah,
lot of people were creeped
agreed.
out by it, but I really dug it.
Well, I have Fantasia on Blu-ray. I have the Fantasia and Fantasia 2000 on Blu-ray already, so I watch them anyway. See, this is really interesting for me because I kind of on the regular watch old school Disney movies all the time.
All right.
Because when you know that they were previously in the vault and they come out in the Diamond Edition or the Signature Collection, I guess we're on now, you buy them again. So I think I have 3 copies of Snow White. I have 2 of Pinocchio. I have, you just don't stop yourself because you don't remember you have them. So you're just like, yeah, of course, I need the newest one. I have gold.
It's like
I
collecting
need
action
diamonds.
figures.
Obviously.
So, yeah, it's becoming easier now that I have a digital versions of these to know which ones I have and which ones I don't have because I can look on my Disney Movies Anywhere or whatever and just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I have that. Okay, I don't need that. So, and I think Cinderella just came out as part of the Signature collection, and I need to check and see if I have that in digital so I don't buy it again.
Well, we've had the discussion, too, about streaming services and why you purchase certain streaming services. And one of the things that's often come up is, having access to movies that you may already have on DVD. But then there's the whole element of, is part of the reason or part of the interest in it the fact that, if you have it on a streaming service, you can just sit in your chair, open the streaming service and click it versus get up, go grab a DVD and, and put it in the machine. Once you have them all on Disney Plus, I mean, do you think that you'll pull those old editions out at all, or will it just always be watching on Disney Plus once it's out?
Well, I guess the question is, how long will they be on Disney Plus? Because, I mean, sure, maybe they're planning on keeping all of the numbered Disney animated classics on there all the time. But what if they don't? What if they put some of them out? They put like the first 10 out. They're out for the first year. And then it's like, bye-bye. These 10 are going away. Here's your next 10. You know what I mean?
That's almost Disney Vault all over again.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. It will really just depend. I'm a very much a kinesthetic, tangible person. So I still buy Blu-rays and stuff if it's really important for a film. I mean, I'm so weird with like Harry Potter and Star Wars. I have Harry Potter on DVD, on Blu-ray, and then the Ultimate Editions, complete collections. And then Star Wars is the same. I have DVD, I have Blu-ray, I have box set, I have the silver box set. I have
So when they come out with that stuff, so when they're advertising that stuff, they are talking to you.
Oh yeah, hardcore. I am a sucker for marketing. So I do like the ability to just be able to, go to my digital library and not actually have to get up and everything. So I have a full digital collection of Harry Potter, so I don't have to get up and go and put the thing in. But it's just one of those weird things that I don't know if I can ever give up actually buying the movies or not. Mm-hmm. It just kind of depends on the movie. We'll see. But streaming services alone is interesting because I feel like we all have all of them. I don't. It's just
or more than one.
Well, and I don't have regular cable. I actually use PlayStation View.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I have PlayStation View, which gives me a login into every on-demand whatever, and I have an Apple TV. So then I have all the channels with the on-demand, plus I have my PlayStation View with live TV, and I have my HBO Now, and I have my Hulu because I did that deal at the end of last year that you get a year for 99 cents a month. So I was like, all right, whatever.
I mean, hey.
Yeah.
At that point.
And then, we have Netflix, of course, and then we're Amazon Prime members. So it's one of those things sometimes that it's like, okay, the movie I wanted to watch, I know is on streaming. Okay, we got to check them all. Not this one. It's always the last one you pick.
Yeah, every time.
So that's why I'm excited for Disney Plus, because I know that I can just go there, turn it on, and there's going to be something I want to watch of, from TV to movies to DCOMs, like whatever. I'm just excited. Just give me one place.
Right? And I mean, they're really banking on this exclusivity, especially when they, decided to pull, Disney titles from Netflix and any other streaming service that they were on. So it's going to be a one-stop shop in the most earnest sense of that phrase.
Outside of Fantasia, I mean, do either of you have favorites regarding, or a favorite out of the group regarding just the soundtrack, the songs?
Ooh. I thought that the music in Alice in Wonderland was really beautiful. And Snow White, I think, is one of the best Disney soundtracks of all time.
That's hilarious that you say that. You've never listened to Disney Vault Talk Snow White episode, I guarantee you. Because I can't stand Snow White's singing voice.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my gosh, I can't do it. More power to you. I can't do it. So it's like... I love so much of the music from Snow White except for anything where she sings. Oh. So, but it's, that's the great thing about it though. You can watch Snow White and I can watch it, but then I can skip over those parts.
Exactly.
It's going to be
works
awesome
for everyone.
I am looking forward to having I'm a Disney animal movie person, so Jungle Book and Robin Hood and 101 Dalmatians and all of those, Aristocats, all of those is what I'm probably looking forward to the most, because those are the ones that don't get as much play as the princess movies. I like all of the non-princess movies. And things like Oliver and Company that everybody passes over. I'm like, hello.
It's because those are the ones that make you cry.
Oliver and Company doesn't make you cry. Fox and the Hound, though.
Yes.
That's a rough one. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able. I've watched Fox and the Hound many times, but
never again.
Never again.
That was one that I was taken to too. I went and saw pretty much all these as a kid. I definitely remember seeing Lady and the Tramp. I almost have like a special connection to that one. Yeah, and that's one of the ones that they're also making a live action version of, which will be really interesting.
Can we talk about that though?
Yes.
Can we talk about the live action thing for a second? Lion King is coming, right? And it's live action, right? It's not live action.
Right. That's
not.
right.
It is.
I was just about to say kind of.
It's more realistic animated
yes.
because for some reason we need to see Mufasa die as a real lion instead of an animated lion.
Exactly. I don't think I can handle that.
I mean, am I going to go see it 10 times? Yes. But still, just like, why?
I'm so with you on that.
But I'm so excited because I heard the clip of Donald Glover and Beyonce singing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" and I got chills and almost started crying. And I was like, oh no, here it comes. Here it comes. So live action.
Here come the feels.
Live action Lady and the Tramp. Not live action.
Right, again.
Just more realistic dogs. That's cool. Yeah. I'm down.
Sure.
But let's just not call it live action when it's not live action.
Or just
drives me bonkers.
Enhanced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
enhanced animation version of the film.
Lady and the Tramp Plus.
Lady and the exactly, right?
I think aren't they also doing Pinocchio?
Stop it. Who asked for that?
I mean, you want to talk about... I mean, it's going to be like Werewolf in London watching actual kids turn into donkeys, isn't it?
Oh.
Oh my God. I mean, Dumbo was actually very good. I enjoyed it, but it was also so hard, And Aladdin blew my mind, and I love it. It was beautifully done. It was an amazing movie. So, some of them have been kind of hit and miss, but Aladdin was great. Beauty and the Beast was great. I just think if they're doing live action remakes, just call them live action if it has humans in them, because if it's mostly animals, we all get it. It's not a real lion. If it is a real lion, it's somebody's magic.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, like Beauty and the Beast, I mean, that fits.
It did. It was amazing. Cinderella was great, too. I did really enjoy Cinderella. And I'm one of those that actually like the Alice in Wonderland live actions, but I really loved Johnny Depp's Mad Hatter. It was great. But then again, most everybody's animated. The Cheshire Cat, and that was good, too.
Aren't they doing Mermaid, too?
The Little Mermaid?
Yeah, the live action Mermaid.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, again, live action. For most of it, I guess.
Get a real mermaid, will you?
A real mermaid.
Honestly.
See, that's the one my wife will be excited about. I mean,
I would be excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, she's all about Mermaid, and well, to some degree, I mean, I think it is her favorite. She loves the music. Under the Sea is probably one of her all-time favorite songs. But it's funny because she loves Sebastian, but isn't a fan of Flounder.
What?
But she loves Sebastian.
Well, Flounder's kind of a guppy, so I get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we go and we find something, and if I find something with Little Mermaid, it has to have Sebastian on it, and Flounder cannot be on it more often. I was like, this is nice. You don't like this? No, Flounder's on it. What's wrong with Flounder? Well, Flounder's a punk. That's what's wrong with Flounder. Yeah. Like, okay.
If they do a live action Toy Story, I think I'm really gonna have an issue.
Yeah,
because I don't need real toys coming to life.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Annabelle.
Not at all.
Yeah,
it's gonna creep you out.
No thanks.
Waking up in the middle of the night thinking things are moving in your room.
Oh no.
Like Poltergeist.
something.
Here we are trying to talk about Disney movies, and I keep bringing in these dark films. Werewolf in
But
London,
Disney
Poltergeist.
Disney has some dark films, though.
They do.
You know, there are, and it's possible that those dark films that some people have never seen will magically materialize on Disney Plus, which will be interesting if they do. So,
Wasn't Something Wicked This Way Comes? Wasn't that a Disney movie?
yeah, but there's a movie that Steve Gosselin talks about all the time that was a Disney movie, Watcher in the Woods or something like that. I've
Yes.
never seen it, but if that comes to Disney Plus, I might have to watch it. But from what I've heard, it's pretty terrifying. I don't know.
It is more than pretty terrifying. It is
Oh, gosh.
incredibly terrifying.
Yeah, so from a soundtrack standpoint, I would say I'm looking forward to all of the Renaissance films because that's where some of the best Disney music is. So that'll be good. But I just think having access to all of these older Disney films, especially for people who have kids that have never seen some of these, because they don't have them on
That's right.
Blu-ray or on DVD or whatever, it's going to be a whole new world.
I see what you did
stuff
there.
for them to watch that they've never been able to see before.
Right? Sit down, Timmy. We're watching Black Cauldron.
Right?
Yeah, that's very true because my niece is 7 this year, and as she was growing up, I mean, it was kind of a thing for my brother to be kind of on watch for what was going to be released from the vault. When they would release something and then pull it back in, because he was trying to develop a collection of movies for her to see when, depending on the film and when she's age ready to see certain films, but still wanted to have that collection. And so, yeah, having that all in a streaming service will be a heck of a lot nicer than having to keep watch and when a certain film's going to come out, because he was constantly on the lookout for some of them.
So stressful.
And I don't really understand that
now
whole process.
you don't have to be stressed out about it.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the many things they're banking on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just automatic that this stuff would just be on there. They're basically trying to make it virtually impossible for anybody not to want this thing. And, if you've been grown up with Disney your whole life and you've had a chance to watch these films and maybe because of the vault only been able to see them here and there, or maybe you only have one version of the film, to be able to just sit down and watch it whenever you want, or any of the others that you may not have, is really going to be nice. It's, as of right now, you don't have to really worry about looking for that stuff. You can just wait for the service to launch.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it'll give people an opportunity that have missed some of the movies to be able to see them too.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I know as people have gotten older, they've skipped over some of these Disney films. Now to keep in mind that not every single animated movie that Disney has made, I'm saying animated canon movie, they're numbered, is going to be available on the service from day one. They aren't. There's, certain ones that are and certain ones that won't be. But as they continue to add, that will be interesting. And I'm also really excited to see them add some of the movies that are in the quote unquote vault. They never really called it that for anything else other than animation, but some of those older live actions that nobody has seen in forever. Cat in Outer Space, the original Flubber, the Apple Dumpling Gang.
I haven't heard as much talk about those.
The Gnome Mobile.
Yes.
There are some coming, so they are coming, because I've seen them on the list. But, Ugly Dachshund is such a great movie. So Pollyanna, the original Parent Traps, and all the original Parent Traps, like all three, they were fantastic.
I remember watching Toby Tyler in the 10 Days at the Circus.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Mm-hmm. I hadn't seen that in ages. Those and the Shaggy Dog films. Yes. Hadn't seen those in a while either.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I would love to see some of those older Disney Channel TV shows as well. There was a Dumbo's Flying Circus that I watched when I was a kid. Pooh Corner.
Yep.
Some of those that, there's really, really no relevance for them today, except for the fact that they exist and they're there and we should be able to see them. Gummy Bears. So many different shows. They need to have like a whole station on there that is Disney's Toon Afternoon or whatever. So you get like Gummy Bears, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and Tailspin and whatever, like all those DuckTales.
Those were so good.
One of our first conversations about this, I talked about that. I talked about some of the stuff that, I grew up watching on the old Disney Channel. And Pooh Corner was one of them. My brother used to watch that in the morning. I also liked a lot of the classic just animation episodes of, just Mickey and Minnie and everybody and Goofy going skiing and the one about Lambert, the lion. That thought he was a sheep. Yeah. I haven't seen that in forever. Would like to see that again. That kind of stuff that I haven't seen in ages that was just on regular rotation on that old Disney Channel. Would be nice to see those again.
Well, and I'm hoping they bring, like, Saludos Amigos and the Three Caballeros on there. And there's really no reason for them not to, since they have announced they're doing a Three Caballeros TV show for Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. So they better release those movies. Because everybody needs to finally know where Ice Cold Penguin actually comes from. And it's from the Three Caballeros. And if it's there, people can watch it and they can finally learn about Pablo the Penguin. It's just like
you have your orders,
people. Where my Twitter and Instagram name came from, and I always say, "Well, it's from this movie. I never heard of it before." Well, get Disney Plus and you can watch it because it should be there. I hope. Fingers crossed.
The other thing that's interesting, we talk about kids having access to this stuff. I talk to my brother a lot. Since he's the one out of the two of us that had kids. And he talks about how the access to entertainment that kids have now and what they're used to seeing right out of the gate versus the way things might have used to be, like when he and I were growing up. When all of a sudden she sees that, she doesn't know how to react to it. For example, she's so used to watching so much on a streaming service where you just hit play and it just goes that he clicked on something the other day to watch that she wanted to watch and it had a commercial in front of it. And she was like, the hell is this? I'm ready to get to my show. So I think about that too, because you have kids now that, their first exposure to animation is the stuff that, Pixar can put out now. And since they're, we don't have Saturday morning cartoons and stuff, and that's not to suggest they don't watch anything on TV that looks like regular animation, but I wonder about that too, is, if some of the first things they've ever seen is that really, enhanced animation we get from Pixar, and really getting a chance to appreciate some of the amazing things that the Disney animators did with the classic style of animation, like in these films like Snow White and some of these others that were made way back when.
I think that style of animation is so classic that they won't even notice the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just because, yes, they're used to sort of a more 3D style of animation, but honestly, the way the Disney animated films are is that it's just so seamlessly blends. Like, I remember not even really noticing that Tangled and Princess and the Frog had started to change their animation style from regular flat 2D animation because they did it in such a way that it just went perfect,
Yeah.
Now, but I think a lot of these kids too, they may not have seen all of these movies, but they've definitely seen 2D animation before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that's going to be something that's new for them. And like you said, Teresa, the old original animation is so fluid and so beautiful that I think it's enthralling either way. And it transports you to this world, which is exactly what, kids are going for. And I think what's going to be really cool about Disney Plus is that, once it launches going forward, there will be vastly more opportunities for parents to introduce these movies to their kids so that they can almost start them off the same way that, we did when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we also have the opportunity with Disney Plus, and hopefully they are thinking about doing this, of doing documentary type stuff about the history of animation with Disney, so that kids can be watching these, but then they can also have like a companion show that's like the history of how and why we were able to animate Elsa with so many strands of hair, and that it started back with, Ariel and like came forward and, things like that, so that they can start learning about all those things and learning about animation. And hopefully we have an animation revival, because the animation that's on TV right now, outside of maybe My Little Pony, is garbage.
I don't like it either. It just takes me out of it.
A lot of the Disney stuff is good, but stuff on other channels that I've seen, I'm just like, blah. I can't do it, guys.
Going in a weird direction.
Yeah.
I really think that would be a good idea because you have those people that have basically been officially named like Disney legends that are still around and still have great stories to tell. One of my favorite interviews that I've gotten to do in recent years was with Glen Keane, who was responsible for creating Tarzan, Ariel, Aladdin, and several others. And his story is fantastic, but also talking about sitting down and starting to work on these things with other people and how people showed him how to do the Disney way of animation. And it all started with sitting down and using a pencil. Mm-hmm. And you look at what they turned out. I mean, yeah, I think those stories definitely need to be told.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Teresa, it's been a great discussion about this. I know we'll have a chance to talk more when as we get closer and as these movies become available on Disney Plus. We've obviously had a chance to tell people about Disney Vault Talk, but I happen to know that's not the only podcast you do.
What? I don't only do just one?
No, last time I checked. I could have sworn you do at least 3 more. You have some Star Wars and some Disney things, but you cover all of not only the shows and the films, but also the fashion as well.
So if you want to check out Star Wars content, Fangirls Going Rogue is probably my biggest sort of general Star Wars focused podcast. And then if you like Star Wars books and literature, I have Star Wars Bookworms. And then I do have another show called Sabers and Spells, which is a geek pop culture geek pop culture podcast. That's actually really hard to say.
That is.
I believe you.
And we started with some Game of Thrones. We did Aladdin. We are going to be releasing an episode soon for Umbrella Academy. We're kind of all over the place, we're all over the place, covering different areas in pop culture that are interesting to us. We will be covering Stranger Things.
Nice.
And also the Disney Plus streaming service will come into play there, I'm sure, because there will be stuff that comes out that we're like, hey, we got to talk about this. And I don't remember if I do any more than that, but you can find everything on my Twitter and Instagram, which is Ice Cold Penguin. I do post everything there, but something like that, I think.
And now you better remember where that's from, because you heard it here if you didn't already know. Otherwise, fail.
Right?
Awesome. Well, Teresa, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to talking to you again here in the near future, and good luck with everything you're doing on your other shows.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, when we come back in 2 weeks, I bet many of you would have already seen Toy Story 4.
I know I will. That's for sure. And it's really hard to believe that there are now 4 movies in this franchise.
Yeah.
But the reviews for the latest edition have been extremely positive so far. I've heard a few negative ones here and there, but overwhelmingly positive so far. And it's pulling over 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And that's pretty powerful. You don't see that very often. And as I mentioned earlier, people have been saying that have seen it, that they didn't think we needed this, but it turns out, yeah, maybe we did. I'm hearing people that were hesitant to go in and yet loved it. So many people question the idea of making another one, but people are saying to forget all that and just go see it.
So in 2 weeks, we'll be reviewing Toy Story 4 and discuss the legacy of the Toy Story franchise as a whole.
And we're going to do that with Tessa Smith, who is a host on The Geekly Show and the voice of mamasgeeky.com.
The Disney Plus Streamcast is on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, radio.com, and DisneyPlusStreamcast.com.
And if you're enjoying the show and you listen to it on a platform like iTunes, please leave a review and tell your fellow mouse-eared fans about the show. Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to having you join us again in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.
The entertainment, adventure, and magic on Disney Plus never stops. So join us for the next episode of the Disney Plus Streamcast. You can subscribe to the show on podcast providers like iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Search, stream, or download any episode on our website. While you're there, get news updates, watch videos, follow us on social media, and check out the Streamcast Spotlight. Just go to DisneyPlusStreamcast.com. Thank you for listening.